They told you DNA was just biology, a blueprint for your body, a static script written in molecules. But what if that was never the whole truth? What if hidden within that double helix lies a code, not just for life but for reality itself? A pattern so ancient it's been called the writing of the soul. Across centuries, mystics and scientists have both whispered the same secret. Your DNA might not simply record who you are. It might decide where you are in time, in space, in possibility. Because if reality exists as a field of infinite versions, then something must choose which version you experience. And what if that something is you, or more precisely, the frequency of your DNA? Recent theories suggest DNA is more than a molecular archive. It behaves like a quantum antenna, receiving, transmitting, and interacting with information beyond physical limits. Every emotion you feel, every belief you hold, sends vibrations through that code, shifting how your cells, your mind, and your world organize themselves around you. It means the past isn't fixed, the future isn't distant, and the present is a selection tuned by the frequency of your consciousness. Ancient texts spoke of it long before science could measure it. The serpent spirals carved into temples, the sacred songs designed to awaken memory, the rituals that aligned human beings with the cosmic order. They weren't myths. They were instructions for remembering how to tune your own reality. So if you've ever felt the pull of another path, a version of your life that feels just out of reach, you're not imagining it. Your DNA is listening, and every choice, every emotion, every breath is another signal, telling it which timeline to open next. And maybe that's why certain moments feel like echoes. A place you've never been that feels like home. A face you've never seen that feels anciently familiar. Those flashes aren't coincidence. They're bleed-throughs, fragments of other versions of you surfacing through the code. Because memory isn't just in the mind, it's woven into the field. Your DNA records not only ancestry, but awareness itself, a living archive of every state your consciousness has ever entered. Each strand vibrates with possibility. Each cell hums with choice. And when your inner frequency shifts, through emotion, intention, or realization, the pattern reorganizes, aligning you with a new slice of reality. This is the secret the ancients tried to protect. They called it ascension, transmutation, enlightenment, but beneath the symbols it was always about vibration. Change the frequency, and the universe rearranges to match it. Modern science is only beginning to catch up. From quantum entanglement to epigenetics, we're discovering that observation itself reshapes matter, that thought, feeling, and awareness are physical forces. So when you align your thoughts with clarity, when your heart moves in coherence, your DNA responds, opening, unfolding, becoming more receptive to the information that exists beyond what you've been taught to perceive. This isn't fantasy. It's the architecture of consciousness. And you are the architect, because the code isn't waiting to be solved. It's waiting to be remembered. Every sound you speak, every choice you make, is a command written directly into your cells. And somewhere between heartbeat and breath, you decide which world you'll wake up in next. And that's the hidden beauty of it all. You were never trapped in one story. You were never bound to one destiny. Every moment you live is a crossroad, and your DNA is the compass, spinning, tuning, listening for the signal that matches who you are becoming. When you shift that signal even slightly, reality bends. Opportunities appear that logic can't explain. People show up as if pulled by invisible threads. Synchronicities align like constellations. Because the universe doesn't respond to words. It responds to resonance. And when your resonance changes, so does the timeline you stand in. The ancients called this the art of remembering. They believed the soul carried a seed of the divine pattern, a fragment of the original frequency of creation. To remember was not to learn something new, but to awaken what was already within. Your DNA holds that same spark. It's not just chemistry, it's consciousness condensed into form, a living bridge between the infinite and the human. And when you listen closely, beneath thought, beneath noise, you can feel it. A pulse older than language, a rhythm that connects you to everything that ever was and ever will be. That's not imagination. That's remembrance. The moment your awareness syncs with the code, you stop being a passenger in reality and start becoming its author. Because the hidden code in your DNA isn't just the story of your past. It's the key to every version of your future. And when that realization settles in, everything begins to shift. You start noticing the subtle geometry behind coincidence, the way thought becomes form, the way emotion reshapes time. You realize creation isn't something happening around you, it's happening through you. Every breath becomes a transmission, every heartbeat, a ripple through the quantum field. And each ripple carries instructions not just for your body, but for the version of reality your DNA is ready to unfold. That's why silence feels sacred, why stillness heals. Because in those moments, you stop broadcasting chaos and begin receiving truth. Your DNA starts to recalibrate, repairing, remembering, retuning to its original design. The design that knows harmony, coherence, and infinite potential. And this is where the awakening becomes real. It's not about leaving the world behind, but finally seeing the world as it is. Fluid, responsive, alive. When you understand that every thought is a signal, every emotion a frequency, and every cell a receiver, you stop asking for proof and start participating in the mystery. Because you are not waiting for the universe to change. The universe is waiting for you to remember that you were the change all along. And somewhere in that remembering, in the precise moment your heart and mind align, the code unlocks, the timelines converge, and the version of you who has always known this truth finally steps forward. And in that instant, reality feels different. Not brighter, not louder, but clearer, as if the noise has thinned, and what's left is a quiet hum that has always been there, guiding you through lifetimes. You begin to sense how everything is connected, how thoughts weave into events, how intentions bend coincidence, how time folds itself around awareness. It's not magic. It's mechanics, the mechanics of consciousness. You start to see the world not as a collection of things, but as a living field of frequencies, responding, reorganizing, reshaping itself to your inner signal. And when you live from that understanding, fear loses its gravity. You no longer chase outcomes, you tune to them. You no longer beg for clarity, you embody it. The universe stops being a question to solve and becomes a mirror reflecting your vibration. This is what the ancients meant by divine alignment, what mystics called union, what science is only beginning to describe through quantum coherence. It's not about escaping your humanity. It's about remembering how sacred it is to breathe, to feel, to create, to choose. Because the code was never outside of you. It's written in your blood, etched into every cell, singing through every heartbeat. And as you awaken to that truth, you realize something profound. You were never meant to find the hidden code. You were meant to become it. To live as the bridge between timelines, the translator between worlds, the consciousness that remembers itself through you. And when that happens, reality doesn't just respond. It remembers you too. And then, almost imperceptibly, the separation dissolves. The line between you and everything else begins to blur, until you can no longer tell where your breath ends and the universe begins. You start to understand that every sunrise, every heartbeat, every coincidence that ever found you was the same intelligence speaking in different dialects. The same code mirrored across matter and mind. It's the realization that nothing has ever been random. Every person you've met, every detour, every heartbreak, each one was a frequency, tuning you closer to the resonance of who you truly are. And now that you're aligned with it, you no longer seek signs, you become one. You walk differently, you speak differently. Your presence alone alters the field around you. Because consciousness, once remembered, can't be unseen. This is the quiet power of awakening. Not thunder or spectacle, but precision. A tuning so exact that reality itself begins to reorganize around your coherence. You start to feel it in the small moments, the way time stretches when you're at peace, the way synchronicities multiply when you're aligned, the way life begins to feel less like survival and more like symphony. Because that's what it always was, a vast harmonic of infinite realities, waiting for you to remember the note that only you could play. And as you do, the illusion of limitation falls away. You realize there were never walls, only wavelengths. Never endings, only transitions. Never separate timelines, only one great continuum of consciousness, folding and unfolding through the living code within you. So when the world feels uncertain, when time feels heavy or the path unclear, return to the pulse within your chest. That rhythm is the map. That vibration is the key. Because the hidden code in your DNA was never just a mystery to be solved. It was a message, a reminder from the infinite, whispering through your own cells. You were never lost. You were only remembering the way home. And as that whisper settles into you, something soft yet undeniable awakens. It's not revelation through thought. It's recognition through feeling. A knowing that stretches beyond language, as if your very atoms are nodding in remembrance. You begin to sense how ancient you truly are, not in years, but in essence. Every lifetime, every story, every face you've ever worn still echoes inside your field, woven into the spirals of light that make you, you. And for the first time, you don't chase the next awakening. You become it. You realize enlightenment isn't a destination. It's the natural state of an unblocked signal. The body, once seen as limitation, now reveals itself as the temple, the perfect vessel for infinite consciousness to experience itself. Every cell, every strand of DNA is a doorway, and the password has always been presence. Because presence is coherence, and coherence opens codes. You look around, and everything shimmers with aliveness. The air, the light, the silence between sounds. The world hasn't changed. You're finally tuned to the frequency that was always here, waiting for you to arrive. And in that stillness, a final truth arises. One that can't be taught, only felt. You are not inside the universe. The universe is inside of you. Every star, every lifetime, every possibility folded within the sacred geometry of your own being. And as you breathe that in deeply, fully, without resistance, you understand what the ancients meant all along. As above, so below. As within, so without. The hidden code in your DNA was never about power. It was about remembrance, the return to unity, the merging of creator and creation. And when you live from that truth, you stop searching for the light. You radiate it, because you were never meant to decode the universe. You were meant to remember that you are its living expression. And as that realization anchors itself in your being, a quiet peace spreads, vast, unwavering, timeless. Not the peace of still waters, but the peace of infinite awareness finally remembering itself. You feel it in your breath, steady, ancient, familiar. You feel it in the silence between heartbeats, a rhythm that syncs with something cosmic, as if your pulse and the pulse of the universe are one and the same. The search ends not because you found all the answers, but because you no longer need them. The questions dissolve into understanding. The journey folds into presence. You see now that the entire path, every mystery, every struggle, every revelation was never leading you outward. It was always guiding you inward, toward the center of your own code. And there, at that center, there is no separation, no before or after, no other timelines to chase, because all of them live within you. Every version of you that ever was, every reality that could ever be, rests here, breathing together, woven through the spiral of light that you call your DNA. It hums softly, not demanding, not instructing, just remembering. And you realize, this is creation's greatest secret. Not that you can shape reality, but that reality is shaped as you. You are the song the universe sings to know itself. You are the bridge between matter and meaning, the awareness through which eternity experiences time. So as the old frequencies fade, as the world continues to unfold in all its infinite versions, you walk with a new kind of knowing. Not seeking, not fearing, simply being the signal that once searched for itself. Because the hidden code in your DNA was never meant to be discovered. It was meant to awaken, and now it has. And as the awakening deepens, the world feels softer. Not smaller, but more intimate. Every sound carries meaning. Every shadow holds light. You sense the invisible threads linking everything. Thought to matter, memory to motion, you to the stars. There's no longer a need to prove or protect this truth. It breathes through you effortlessly, as natural as the beating of your heart. You begin to live as a witness and a creator at once. seeing each moment not as random, but as a conversation between your inner frequency and the infinite field that listens. And in that conversation, there is no hierarchy, no separation between sacred and ordinary. Making tea, watching the rain, holding someone's hand, each act becomes a prayer, each breath an activation of the code still unfolding within you. You realize awakening was never about rising above the human experience. It was about inhabiting it completely, to feel deeply, to love without armor, to walk through the illusion knowing it's made of light. Because the final step of remembrance isn't transcendence, it's embodiment. The soul descending fully into matter, until heaven and earth are no longer opposites, but reflections of the same living truth. And in that integration, a quiet joy takes root, the kind that doesn't need reason or reward. It simply is, a resonance that tells you, you've come home. Stay here, breathe here, live here as the harmony between worlds. Because this is the last threshold. You close your eyes, and for a moment, there is only breath. A single thread connecting you to everything that ever was. No separation, no seeking, just awareness, infinite, quiet, complete. The stars above you no longer feel distant. They shimmer like cells in a greater body, and you recognize that body as your own. You feel the earth beneath you breathing with you, the pulse of life moving through stone and soil,